Alex sent me a letter. How lovely.
To my Robert. Remember the pair of kids that recorded a podcast together? Not me and you, no. I mean me and Ben. Due to the insane scheduling of EastEnders over the Christmas holidays, Ben and I have come to the difficult decision to record the podcast ourselves next week. This is just for ease and nothing more. We hope you understand. And please come back in the new year to stop me looking like a complete idiot. Come to me, Robert. Yours, Alexander. I'm Alex.
I'm Rob. And this is the Walford Weekly Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes released on the BBC in the UK from Monday the 13th to Thursday the 16th of December. And I can't do it alone. He's back and he's looking delightful. It's Rob. Hello Rob, how are you?
Hello Alex, I've been awake for about 30 minutes. It's Christmas, isn't it? So obviously, no matter what work you do, unless you work in like the sun cream industry, everyone's really busy at the moment. So I work nights, so my work rota is really weird at the minute. So I'm doing one night in, one night off, one night in, one night off. So I'm like a zombie at the minute. Alex actually had to ring me to wake me up today. That's never happened before, has it?
And I felt very guilty for that as well.
But we are recording later in the evening today because EastEnders was obviously on weirdly. Why did they move it this week? What was the thing?
I don't really know the reason why, other than, well, there's a Spider-Man movie on BBC One tonight, which is the one before the one they've just released, which, by the way, if no one's seen it yet, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's bloody fantastic, so I recommend strongly you watch it. But also, there's that new game show, isn't there? The Simon Cowell creation on ITV called Walk the Line. Have you watched any of those episodes? Because it's blooming awful.
I watched it last night. It was on in the background last night, and it was all I saw was some guy opera singing ABBA. So the movie EastEnders. Honestly, if there was Tiddlywinks on the movie EastEnders for it, wouldn't they? Sorry, it's Teletubbies being repeated on CBeebies. Oh, we'll chuck EastEnders on at 10. It'll be all right. Yeah, it'll be fine. Honestly.
Let's move on now. Let's do what we're here to do, and that's talk about EastEnders. And another week, the week before Christmas. This is it now. This is the build-up. Did you feel like this was a good build-up for Christmas week? Did it feel a little bit slow for you?
It doesn't feel like there's a massive, huge moment on the horizon for next week, does there? Obviously, there's probably the grey stuff's probably going to take centre stage at Christmas, which fine, it was always going to. So hopefully there's going to be some big revelations around grey this year. Please, for the love of God. But
yeah, please do something with it.
please. I just wonder who else is going to kill, but we will get to the grey storyline. First on the agenda, however, Alex, is...
Well, it's Janine, and Janine. Basically planting the necklace on Jay, getting him in a lot of trouble. Then basically everyone's kind of just pushed her out of their lives because of the tricky trickster that she is. Lovely scenes this week where we saw Billy finally give up, I guess is for lack of a better term, to trying to get Honey's affections and to be interference of Honey and Jay's relationship. A few mutterings online about Jay and Honey's relationship still going around. I mean, I'd be interested to know, as well as this story, what you feel about Jay and Honey as a couple.
I mean, the thing is about Jay and Honey, they were put together to obviously to sort of build some sort of rivalry up between him and Billy. Now, the problem is, they haven't really done all that much with it. Jay and Honey share barely any scenes whatsoever, which automatically suggests to me, does that mean that they're working, or does it just mean that apparently Jay is forbidden from any scenes whatsoever unless he's, he gets about 10 scenes a year? I don't know. I think it's going to be. We'll see how 2022 does for Jay and Honey, because presumably they've got to go somewhere as a couple. haven't they? What's the idea for Jay and Honey? Are they planning on making them get married? Is the whole storyline going to be about the fact that Billy is finally going to have to let go of Honey mentally and maybe move on to somebody else? I quite like to see Billy with someone else. I quite like to with Estelle, the agent. That was nice to see. So, but I don't know whether Jay and Honey I don't know if there's a huge future in Jay and Honey. But what's interesting is the fact that obviously the kids love Jay. Janet and Will.
Yeah.
Jay's been there for a lot of their lives, so I like that component to it. I love his relationship with Janet, and because when Jay was getting arrested this week, Janet looked visibly gutted, and because Janet looked gutted, I was gutted because Janet is my Patronus, quite frankly. Yeah, so Janine, the whole kit and caboodle of the cars being stolen came to an end this week, I think it's fair to say.
The line has been drawn.
The line has been drawn. Janine is no longer, I'm fair to say, I think, no longer working at the car lot, which probably means that we're not going to see a scene with Janine in the car lot now for the rest of time until she leaves. So everyone kind of basically worked out what Janine was up to. So Janine got kicked out of Jay and Honey's. I had no idea she was still living there. I assumed that when Honey came back, because the proviso seemed to be, all right, well, while Honey's in Miami, you can live here for a bit. Honey's been back now for about 2-3 weeks. I had no idea that Janine was still living there.
I was convinced that Janine had left too, which is surprising. But then afterwards I thought, but then I didn't really know where Jean had gone to. So it was a bit confusing in that respect. So I suppose it made sense. But yes, so Honey's finally said to Janine, like, you've done enough. You've broken up this family enough. You tried to get Jay arrested. You tried to get Billy to double cross us. You've upset up my kids. You're out. You're out on your ear. And so Janine, with her tail between her legs, finally left the house, spent the night on Sonia's sofa. Sonia said, "You only get one night with me, love." Kicked her out as well. And then started pleading her case to the Carters, Mick, Shirley and Nancy. Shirley was having none of it. Nancy softened to her. Shirley. Yeah, and Mick was kind of on the fence the whole time, but the decision was made that Janine was staying. Now, Nancy is seeing something here that we've all kind of suspected might be happening underneath the whole time, and that is Janine seems to be trying to get into Mick's affections, let's just say. And I wish that Shirley was able to spot this too, because like you said, I really enjoyed Shirley's bits and pieces this week.
Yeah. It's been on the cards, isn't it? So now officially, Janine is now trying to get Mick into bed. She is. See, the thing is, it's interesting with this. It doesn't seem like she's actually, because obviously, when Janine goes for a man, obviously, often there's a sort of ulterior motive behind it. It seems in this case that she is genuinely actually starting to get a few pretty strong feelings for Mick. Obviously, there's the Frank comparisons. Yes. Obviously, there's the Frank comparisons, I think, that are being the main sort of focus behind it. The fact that he is behind the bar of the Vic, he's quite Londonish, he's a good father figure. So queen of the daddy issues, Janine is slowly trying to get there with Mick. Demonstrated no further by the fact that she bought a top for the market saying "Kiss my balls" written across her breasticles.
Yes.
Which she was very keen to demonstrate, which I think was was Nancy's first clue that their new tenant has designs on her father. And she went as far to say to Janine, when I agreed to let you stay here, that wasn't for you to get into my dad's bed. I'm watching you.
Yes.
So now officially Nancy and Janine are loggerheads now. So now Mick seems to be getting quite close to Janine in terms of friendship, and he seems to enjoy her company, and they seem to be having a laugh together. He's aware, I think, that she has a bit of a shady past, but Mick's all about second chances, because God knows the Carters have had enough second chances individually.
Third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances. Yeah. Many chances, really.
No more secrets. So, of course, the big question is here. What do you think? Do you think Janine is going to be successful in sinking her claws in, or do you think that she's going to make a move and Mick's going to be absolutely horrified and chuck her out? What do you think?
I mean, Mick's always been the one that we thought would never go to that place. But then it reminds me that a couple of years ago, we also thought the same about Linda and that the Carters were unbreakable. And look what happened. Max got out his little baldy head and he kind of interfered back.
Where you were going with that there? Yes.
Yes.
Although, someone did leave a comment on our YouTube. Someone did leave a comment on our YouTube page a few weeks back. Sorry, I can't remember who did it. But pointing out that, because we always said about, how Mick and Linda were supposed to be unbreakable, and they said that there has to be a point though where, like, surely nobody in soap is immune from affairs. If you think about some of the big affair storylines over the years, morally, something like the Sharon Gate, for example, morally that's very, very wrong. But God, did it produce a good storyline with, Sharon, Phil and Grant, and, there's, Max and Stacey, that's pretty wrong. Surely would Stacey have done that to Bradley? Sometimes you have to think about the sort of the bigger picture in terms of story. Now, the problem with Mick and Linda is the fact that they were sold as, their USP was the fact that they were unbreakable and were never ever going to have an affair. And I'm sure under the production crew that created them, that was always going to be the case. And to be fair, that was one storyline, probably about the only storyline that Mick and Linda never ever went through. Now, the problem with the fact that the Carters have had so many stories thrown at them since they arrived is eventually something like this is going to happen. Enter Whitney.
Something's going to happen like this.
Yeah, so enter Whitney, and that's how the whole. But then, to be fair, Mick never ever slept with Whitney. There was just a kiss, but there was obviously feelings there. So I don't know, Mick and Janine. I suppose, again, it's like Jay and Honey, isn't it? You've got to kind of think of the future. Can you see a future in Mick and Janine? Like, is there apart from the initial sort of get-together storyline, what would there be apart from that?
No, I don't. This is it, you see. If I was looking long-term, if Mick and Janine were to have an affair, they were to stay together, for that matter, I don't think there is a story there, because I don't think Mick's the kind of person that Janine... I think Janine, in her mind, wants to be softer, to be nicer, to be kinder, to have her daughter by her side and to be this family. Yes. But I don't think she'll ever achieve it. It's always a pipe dream that she'll never get. She's tried it once or twice before, and it's never worked out for her. And Mick, I just think, isn't a kind of character who would support Janine if she suddenly had that instinct to turn. Because this is the thing with Janine. Like, at the moment, we're seeing this kind of very nice Janine with the few moments where she's kind of like just having a bad
Janine,
day.
Yeah,
we are quite mild, and I'm just waiting whether we will get that trigger. And I think if we did get that trigger, then this whole story with her and Mick almost feels redundant and mute. And like, why is it there anyway? Because I think then Janine would go down a different path entirely anyway. So it feels a little bit like they don't know where to place Janine at the moment, where to put her.
I don't know. I mean, for me personally, Janine works at her best when she's got nothing to lose. And as things get taken away from her, obviously her main target at the moment, aside from the Carlot and the Vic and Mick, her main focus at the minute is Scarlett. And I don't think that can really be taken away from her. Obviously, she has a unique way of going about things, to say the least. But I think that her main focus at the minute is Scarlett, getting Scarlett back. Scarlett, who we've not seen for about 6 months, by the way. Scarlett's going to be about 6 foot tall by the time we next see Scarlett, probably, yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting. Bookmarkers, mark this moment. I would officially say I don't think Mick is going to go there. Touch wood, touch anything. I can't wait to be proven drastically wrong next week when they have a mad romp against the bar. But I don't think I don't think them. I think Mick is going to have a moment of like, oh wait, what? You fancy me? No, get out. It'll be more fun, I think, this storyline if Linda was still around. How much longer is Kelly Bright on maternity leave?
Oh goodness, I couldn't say. I mean,
feels like she's been gone a while, but at the same time, it feels like she's not been gone anywhere near long enough yet for a maternity leave thing. So no, I don't know, because I quite like the idea of Linda. I'm not sure. It's been a fair few months, because I quite like the idea of Janine and Linda being at loggerheads and constantly battling and like being absolute rivals. I'd love that, because Linda could take. I think Linda could take on Janine. I think that would be a really good a really good matchup, because you don't mess with Linda in many ways, especially when it comes to Mick. So I think that would be really interesting. But it depends on whether this storyline may well be done completely and utterly done and dusted by the time Linda gets back. So I don't know. It's all in the future. But yes, we'll see. Janine Janine's role over Christmas, I think, is going to be sort of flashing her balls at Mick, and
yes,
so we'll see. We'll see if old Michael is tempted.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Nancy's got her eye on her now, and I'm sure Shirley will help her along. So I think that she can't get up to much without the all-seeing eye of Nancy and Shirley in the Vic. Well, here we go. To some, this is the big one this week. It was Ballum, and
I am not ready for this storyline.
Reckoning. So outside the cafe, Callum's saying, "Oh, do you want to go out?" Ben's like, "No, I don't really want to go out tonight. I'd rather stay and have a movie." And then a hot guy walks past, and Callum's like, "Well, I might go out on my own then." And then so Ben's like, "Well, hang on then, I'm going to go out with you." So they meet this guy at the pub, and they kind of flirt with him, but then decide that no, actually they don't want to do anything like that because they love each other too much and respect each other enough that they don't want to add a third person to their relationship. And then the guy got upset because he bought them a couple of double whiskies and he's getting nothing out of it for the night. Probably walked off, opening up his Grindr app, whatever. So, was it a happy ending for you? Is this the kind of story? But is this the kind of Ballum story you want to see? Because we do complain a lot that Ballum tends to be on the roundabout, the merry-go-round, the Ballum merry-go-round, where it's always like, oh my god, they don't trust each other. Oh, they kept a line in secret. Oh, they told each other a line in secret. Oh, they're back to normal again. At least it was like more of a relationship-y story this week.
Well, I don't know though, because like you say, initially this started off as Callum has been very, very sort of like open
Horny.
about the fact that he's fit. Yeah, he is. Callum has been very open about that in the minute, about the fact that he's fit. Oh, I might go talk to him. Yeah, he's fit. Don't you think, Ben? Yeah, he's fit. And to which Ben, in some ways, understandably, is kind of just like, I guess I'll come with you then. Hence, in case you go off and have an affair with someone. So they go, like you say, they go to the Albert, start chatting to this bloke. Now, for a start, this bloke, right? I thought, do you know what this bloke's name is on the credits? Did you know what his name is?
I forgot to write it down. No.
Let me entertain you with this, Alex. Right, of all the names, it's a name we've had before. It is a name we've had before. And bearing in mind what role this character seems to be playing in this storyline, you would think they had a whole plethora of names that they could go for to name a character. I do not believe that the writers sat down and had one of their big old writery meetings where they thought about the implications and the meanings of names and how names felt when they came up with naming the guy who Ben and Callum might have a threesome with after Lee Ryan's character, Woody.
Oh, Woody.
Now,
yes.
Now, if you are telling me I cannot take a storyline where where a character is being put into the square, possibly to have a threesome with Ben and Callum named after an erection. I can't do it. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. But yeah, like you say, so Ben is basically keeping an eye on Callum, whilst Callum is fully, it seems, in promiscuous mode. And then all of a sudden, like, this guy, Woody, turns around and basically implies that, obviously not just Callum, you can come too. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Ben's like, well, let's not be too hasty, Callum. Like, that's not off the table. Absolutely fine once it means that he's involved and he might get his end away as well. It's mad. I can't cope with... My Christmas does not need to be about the fact that I'm watching two gay guys have a better sex life than me. The whole point of me watching EastEnders is the fact that I'm supposed to be enjoying the fact that people's lives are so much worse than mine. I don't... I mean... Where
does this go?
To be believed... Well, apparently, if the papers are to be believed, we're going into an actual polyamory story with Ben and Callum, and that the soaps are going to, the show is doing a bit of a historical first, and featuring these two bringing a third person, bringing a Woody into their relationship is essentially where this is going. if the papers are to be believed.
Why do we always have to have an historical first of everything on EastEnders at the moment? I'm getting really tired of these historical first. Why can't they just have a normal storyline? Not just in Ballum's world, but in any story.
If that is your main problem with this story, then I don't know what to say to you.
I know what you're going to say. If that's my main concern, then absolutely right. Yes, but that's what I'm saying. It's not just necessarily the Ballum story.
Issue the fact that it's first and that the fact that it's first feels shoehorned in. That's your problem with this storyline.
It's always
To be fair, to be fair, I feel like I'm being a hypocrite now because not 3 weeks ago when the gems of this story were first starting, I actually turned around to you and was just like, I quite like the idea of an open relationship. That's not really been done before. It'd be interesting to sort of discuss promiscuity within the gay community. That would be interesting. And now it's actually happening. I'm like, I hate it. It's awful. I don't know. It's just Ben and Callum. I just feel like they've gone through. The thing is, I know what's wrong with it. The fact is that they have gone through. Apparently, we've been led down this right merry-go-round with Ben and Callum that they have gone through so much angst to get to where they are. They've had this thing where Callum had to go through so much mental torture in order to eventually walk Ben down the aisle. And they're supposed to be like the best thing that ever goes together, like bread and butter. And we're supposed to be so desperately in love with them as a couple and enjoy watching them so much that now they've actually reached a stage where, well, no, actually, you're not enough. You're not enough. Let's bring Woody in and let's have regular. Do you know what I mean? It sort of feels like, well, why were you trying to make me so emotionally invested in them as a couple? If you're just going to, if it had been from the start, like. But then I have been saying from the start that they don't really seem that well suited. But then that's just been my personal cynical opinion on them. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, no, I've said what I've pretty much said what I think. I'm not.
Oh, well,
it's just another Ballum story, isn't it, for me? It's just a Ballum story, isn't it? It's it's arguably fan service, and that's what they're doing. They're just kind of firing up the.
But it's like they've decided that there's not enough. It's like they've decided that there's not enough fan fiction being written at the moment. All the fan fiction of Ballum has died down ever so slightly, and so it's like, well, we'll add another one in. That'll get their fingers tapping on the laptops.
Yeah. It's just that it's being linked to the first time ever. Like I've just thought another one, the right wing extremist storyline, first time ever.
I don't know what your problem is. I don't get what your problem is.
Because I think that it's fine to do them. But it seems to be it seems to like be a story of the week, so it's happening too much. Okay. It's like there's nothing wrong with bread and butter stories as well. Just have them. Last week I was gushing and praising and loving the Stuart story with Rainey and Sonia, and I said at the time it's almost like a stock storyline for the soap. But if done well, it can achieve a hell of a lot more than trying to deliberately find
I know that there are many Ballum fans on our who listen to us and on our Facebook group. I'd actually really like to know, as big Ballum fans and someone who enjoys watching them together on screen, let us know what you think of the idea of them bringing somebody else into the relationship. Does that cheapen the relationship? Does it make you more intrigued to watch it? Are you quite glad that they brought somebody else in? Please let us know in the comment section or via the details, which I will give you at the end of the show.
There you go. Yeah, all right. Well, let's move on then to the Aaron, Harvey, Dana, Bobby story. And this week we had Harvey finally speaking to his daughter after Aaron started whispering in his ear that that she's thinking of converting, and they had that lovely conversation where Dana was basically saying that she was never going to do it. She was kind of rile Aaron up a little bit, which we all knew, but that was the plan. But she is looking long term with Bobby, and that you shouldn't basically be ruled by what Aaron thinks. Which is such a sensible thing for a daughter to say to her dad. It feels like to me that Dana seems to be guiding her father through life ever since they come to the square, and not quite the other way around. Yeah. Although Harvey would like to think it was.
This is how we do life, Dad. This is a plate.
People make their own decisions at times. You'd have to listen to Aaron all the time.
Yeah.
So but so it's.
Shouldn't say that, Dad. That's not politically correct.
Well, and but also it kind of again worryingly puts us into the category of what you said last week. That is that Dana and Bobby are in love, happy, thinking about the future, kids, babies, house, their own car, everything
He's gonna
in
die.
A marriage, and so Dana might be on the way out. I mean. And Aaron also this week kind of mentioned that he is making a plan. If they can't have the mosque if there's no building there to put it into, so that's kind of those roots are now being planted as well.
Yes, because we've properly met this mate of his that is a sort of a key component in this right-wing extremist story, and he is a nutter. Like, honestly, this guy looks like he would slit a puppy's throat if the puppy chewed his slipper. He looks absolutely psychopathic. He's one of these that kind of just sits in the corner, just like twitching. Right, must kill a black person. Like he's absolutely insane, isn't he? And he's not exactly subtle about it either. Like, he's one of these that will just walk in and the whole bar will immediately go silent because, like, there's a nutter in here. There's a nutter. He's a nutter. Look at him. He's going to track the place in a minute. Look at him. But basically, the whole thing with those two this week is Aaron essentially going up to this bloke and having a quiet conversation where he will stare ahead, not look at him once, and just kind of say, "You shouldn't be here. We've agreed that you shouldn't be around here." Yes, yeah. Well, I know, but like you're talking to Keegan. Well, I know. Well, I'm not going to do that. So essentially, the plan is if Aaron's conversation with him in secret cafe is to be believed, is
Joanne's Cafe.
Is that they are planning on burning down the mosque, which is suggesting that our initial thoughts of big boom boom around maybe New Year's time is on the horizon. So how is this going to work then? I mean, Donna said that she's not maybe won't convert now. So I had an image of them having some big, I don't know, converting ceremony. I'm sure that's not the phrase, but you know what I mean, like a big like happy celebration of Dana's conversion to Muslim. Muslim,
like in a week's time. Like,
no, this is what I mean. Clearly not
happen that quickly.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I want to be a Muslim.
That's what I mean.
Let's have a party.
That's what I mean.
Muslim.
That's what I mean. Clearly not. So I don't know how this is going to work and how people are going to die, basically, because there's no point in blowing something up if you're not going to kill people. So how is this going to work? Do you think?
This is the whole argument of aftermath, isn't it? How are they going to then put this into the story? I mean, it feels like weird to me also, the fact that their plan is that they're going to knock down the building so they can't build a mosque on it. But surely they're almost giving them a helping hand by knocking it down so they can then rebuild the mosque afterwards.
Oh, let's help.
Yeah, I know. Like, inadvertently. Maybe that's the whole story. Maybe they just inadvertently just actually going to help them out, and Aaron's going to be like, damn it, I've done it again.
I did wonder what Aaron's job is. Maybe he's the demolition expert. I don't know. Aaron's doing this thing in the mirror where I don't think we've actually found out what Aaron's job is, but his outfit, his costume as a character is basically to walk around in a suit and tie all day. Oh, I've got today off. But I'll still walk around.
I think he sleeps in that suit and tie.
He does. I've not seen him in anything else. Ever. The only thing I ever
his wardrobe is just continuous shirts and ties. The same shirt and tie combo.
Exactly, yeah. Except in his Nazi painting on walls outfit, which is basically just a black hoodie and a mask. That's the only other outfit we've ever seen Aaron in. I'd love to know what Aaron actually does. That would be interesting to know. So
it's like a costume on Fortnite or something like that.
It would be interesting to see what that is. But so going forward, where are we going? Like, what's the plan? It doesn't seem that this storyline is actually starting to go forward at 1,000,000 miles per hour suddenly. It's not like it doesn't feel like they've really put the gas pedal on just yet with it, which I don't mind because, you know, I think we both want quite a slow burn to this approach, to this story, just so it doesn't feel like a conveyor belt, right-wing extremism, yay, done. So it'd be nice to sort of build this up towards, oh my god, an extra month or something to go to February, at least for the anniversary. So, I mean, the other thing we've got to bear in mind is that the new set is going to be coming into play soon, and there's no better way.
Well, they're already filming on the new set.
Are they? Is that officially happened?
They are, yes. They're already filming on the new set, which kind of
nearly 40 years on that set done.
I know. It does feel sad, and also frustrating that there doesn't seem to be any. I know. I mean, it might have been different if everyone's for COVID, but I wish they'd open up the old set and let people visit it. I really do.
I know.
Such a shame if they don't.
Let's go to the set, EastEnders. I want a picture outside the sign so I can pretend I'm an executive producer, please. That's all I want.
Yeah, no. That's all we all want. That's all we want. Just to stand in front of that fence like that. You know. I'll go with the Naked Butler. BBC, give us tickets. Yeah,
Obsessed.
I just
Somebody
think
didn't want to do this week. Yes.
It's ever since the Ballum story, I've just got all kinky. But yeah, so I guess that might be a hint that perhaps they filmed the scenes with the whatever, it could be fire explosion, whatever, the demolition of the argy bargy, and so they kind of maybe more chaos happens around it. That's what I'm wondering. That would cause then a lot of the set to be broken down.
Surely though, if they are going ahead and burning down or blowing up or that building, then surely the archers, the Prince Albert's going to be gone as well, though. Surely, isn't it? Because the two buildings are connected. Because that's the whole point.
Depends on the explosion.
Yeah, well, it depends how big it is, isn't it? Because obviously Aaron has made it quite. Aaron doesn't mind the gays. It turns out he's not bothered about them. It's not some sort of.
It's all about the pink pound for Aaron.
Honestly, what do you think I am? Some sort of homophobe, not some sort of monster.
Imagine he takes offence to that. It's like, I'm not a homophobe.
How dare you?
I'm just racist.
How dare you? His mate, on the other hand, I wouldn't put past him. Oh, it's a gay bar there. Throw a bottle of that too. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I still am really enjoying this storyline. It's got that really sort of delicious feeling of tension. Whenever Aaron walks on, I'm sort of like, oh my god, what's he going to say? And I like that they're like using uncomfortable language in his dialogue. When they come out with scenes, you know what? I need to know what this psycho's name is. But when he turned around to Aaron and says, after he'd seen him chatting to Keegan, which we'll talk about in a minute. And saying some things like, I thought you were going to go BLM on me. It's uncomfortable to listen to, and I really like it when they like directly throw that sort of dialogue at you to make you sort of just to make you feel uncomfortable. I love it when EastEnders does that sort of thing. So
Same.
I'm still fully behind this storyline. So please don't mess it up, you silly people. But I'm loving it so far.
Same. So you alluded to it. So we're going to now talk about Tiff's exit this week. So it was sad. It was a double episode on Tuesday in the UK. I don't know how it was broadcast outside the UK, but on Tuesday it was set up as a double episode. So we had 45 whole minutes of EastEnders going down. I know, God help us. And there was a bit of tension between Keegan and Tiff, where they had one big Barney in the square, the market, which we all like. We would enjoy a bit of a Barney in the market, where everyone's watching and kind of like, wants to join in, but can't quite. Yeah. And then they kind of made it up. They had one final night together, which I definitely want to discuss with you in a minute about perhaps the future for Tiff because of that one final night. And then... Yeah, maybe. And then she wrote him a letter. And then Liam, if he hadn't done enough being a complete and utter a-hole on the show, from the moment he came on to the moment he exited, he decided to just F it up for them one last time by taking the letter, that beautiful letter that Tiff had written.
He's angry when he uses letters, the swear words.
When she said, these lovely things, and if you want to give it one more chance, meet me at the train station. He crunched it up, threw it away, and just put the divorce papers in the letter, which she then Tiff unknowingly handed over to Keegan as her final goodbye to him.
See,
I was so angry at Liam. You have no idea. And you know what? I am so pleased to see the back of Liam. To see the back of him. But I'm not so pleased to see the back of Tiff, because I think it's a huge shame to lose such a huge character.
I agree. The thing is about this letter, though, it felt like a bit of a strange setup with the letter, because Tiff, like you say, wrote this gorgeous letter, and we had one of those old things where we have sometimes a character reading their letter over the scene. Now, normally we kick off about stuff like that. That sort of thing is an old sort of staple of the show, though, isn't it? We had Peggy doing it once when in a suicide note to Phil. I don't mind that sort of thing. I quite like that, and it did work in the context of a scene as well. For some strange reason, Tiff did walk quite slowly to the tube station, but we'll move on from that. That's fine. But what I didn't really get about the letter was that she'd written this gorgeous sort of wrote this gorgeous epitaph to Keegan, basically saying, you've got, if you want us to stay together, meet me at the train station, and because presumably she wanted some sort of Love Actually moment at Christmas for him to run. She's had that already with Keegan at the train station. You've had that, love, like that. Yeah. That thing. You remember that when we discovered that So there is that. But what she did, she had this letter that she'd written. She passed Keegan in the marketplace to give it to him. So for a start, she could have just said all of this to him when she was... Because it's not like they hadn't just had sex the night before. So clearly words weren't difficult between them. So I don't understand why that happened. So she... But then she also said to him, right, okay, here's the letter. Don't read it now because I'm crying. It was like Taskmaster. You may not read this letter. You have 15 minutes. Your time starts now. Run! Don't read it until I'm out of sight. No, just went. Don't read it until I'm out of sight. Straight. Don't read it now. No, I've got to go read it now. It was a bit odd.
I admit, that was very odd. It was like, so in a funny way, then he might not have got to the train station because he might have left the note to read it later. He might have put it in his pocket and read it a bit later on. I didn't think it was a bit weird. The one thing I would say is that I think that there was those scenes, wasn't there, where Keegan was talking to his mum, Karen, in the cafe, and Tiff was talking to Whitney. Yes. And they both kind of admitted that they liked each other to the respectable person they were talking to. But they both openly said that they didn't want to show their cards, as it were, unless the other one was prepared to do it first. So I kind of got then the reason why she handed him over a letter, but didn't say it to him face to face. Because I think that she didn't want to... I don't think she could have said it to his face. She could only do it through the form of a letter, which he was only allowed to read, as you quite rightly said, 15 minutes after she had left. Had already boarded the plane. Yeah. So, you know...
And not like she'd already... It wasn't like she hadn't cried on his shoulder the night before. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. I'll cry if you read it in front of me. Come on, please. I got the intention behind it.
Yeah,
well, she did.
And Whitney did kind of slap Keegan's wrist later, didn't she? Because she kind of blamed him because she was like, I love Tiff. I don't want her to leave. And then she kind of blamed him for the reason why she left after all that. Yes. So,
but we did get Julia's theme.
It a bit more.
Quite right.
She did get Julia's theme.
That was nice. I was going to say we haven't had one of them for a while. I think when was our last Julia's theme? Was it Mick at court? Oh, Max. That was right. Yes, Max got a Julia's theme. Yeah, Max. Yes.
I forgot about Mick at court getting a Julia's theme because I turned to Ben and I said, oh God, other than Max, we haven't had one this year. And Ben said to me, oh no, there's one at courts. And I shriveled back to my centre of my chair and ate my chocolate biscuit and looked
at least me and Ben know what we're talking about.
I know. So, I don't know why you and Ben don't do the podcast, quite frankly. I don't know why. Well, according to the comments, sometimes I think a lot of people agree that I should be here. To be fair.
So yeah, Tiff's gone now. I agree with you about Liam. I'm quite right. I don't get what he was. I don't get what he achieved from doing that, apart from to kind of move Tiff to Germany and have his sister around him. But
I don't know what he achieved the moment he came on the square. Well, it was a pointless addition.
Well, and the fact I know you hate Liam. Yes, it's actually after this week, it's sort of understandable. But this is the thing about Liam though. Like he had a job. He sorted out a job. He's walked out on that without no connection to Ben. He's gone. Take that as my notice. I've gone to Germany. So no scene with Ben. Ben's going to walk in on the Archers 9 a.m. Hello, Liam. Hello. This whole thing with Janine, that's all done and done. That was literally done the moment that Janine was like, there's money. Oh, good, I'm back off to Germany tomorrow, by the way. So that was always the plan anyway. He's gone for now. I hate to say this to you. I hate to trigger you like this, but do you think we're going to see Liam again? Because the fact that they made the effort to recast the character would suggest that they are planning on keeping him, that he's there now in the vaults, so to speak, so that he could come back at any moment. Presumably not in this era. I don't think there's a lot of time left in this era for Liam to come back. So,
no.
What do you think?
I would welcome Liam's return with Tiff and Ricky, maybe in about 4 or 5 years' time.
4 or 5 years?
The only... Because that's about the right amount of time for someone to give birth to a child and then return with child for Keegan to be like, Gah?
So you think Tiff is now with child, yes? That's the thing.
Oh,
you think they were thinking that far ahead? That in 5 years' time, they'll have Tiff come back. Okay, oh yes, that's true. Because contraception just doesn't exist in Soberland. Whether that's the pill, whether that's a condom.
Yeah. So Tiff, definitely think Tiff will return at some point. And with baby. I hope. But it was. I think it was a fitting end, don't you? I think it was a nice end.
Yeah, on the whole, it was a nice exit. I did like the focus on Keegan and Tiff's relationship throughout that episode, or sort of leading up to this almost quite heartbreaking. I mean, to be fair, it was quite a sad exit because my mum, who sort of drifts in and out of EastEnders, obviously I've got it on every episode, and Mum will has got a vague idea of what's going on, and she went to go and make a cup of tea or something, once the letter had been read out, and then she went, so what happens? And I said, Liam changed the divorce papers, and so Tiff's gone, and they've gone, and she went, no! Like, really horrified. So clearly the effect was done. So there you go.
Oh, your mum sounds terrific. We off air, we sometimes talk about your mum, don't we? Because there was that one time when she decided to sabotage the podcast by starting her car engine
really loudly outside,
tooting her horn and shouting, "Bye, Rob!" So there's a little story. A little story this week was Tom caught Dotty buying drugs for her mum Sandy this week, and begged Tom to let her do it because she said that she's going to get her help in rehab. But Tom, quite rightly, I thought this week, said to her, it doesn't matter which clinic you want her to go to, just put her in a bloody clinic. But it was too late because Sandy was then found on the bench, OD'd, I guess. She threw up in Tom's hand. I really felt so sorry for Brian.
And then he kept touching his face.
Yeah, then he kept touching his mouth. Yeah, so that. COVID.
Well, that was separate, wasn't it? That was done after the scene, wasn't it? Yeah.
Get a swab up his nose. He was having a him. But he called an ambulance, and also we should mention that Peter also spotted Tom buying was it heroin that he was buying?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So, but nothing came of it this week. So I'm sure it's going to come out at some point, probably around are they going to remember that Peter?
Are they going to remember that Peter used to take quite a lot of drugs? Is that going to be? Yes. Is that going to be mentioned? Do you think that Peter's ex-drug habit is that going to be mentioned? I doubt it, but it might be. It might be. Yeah, I quite liked this week. I have to say, they've gone back a little. They've gone back to the parallels, and I love it. The parallels between Nick and Dot, and when Dot had to go and get Nick heroin, and Dotty having to get her mum heroin. I don't know if it's deliberate, but if it is, well done. I love the parallels of that and how the tables have sort of been turned in that respect. I love all that sort of thing. Yeah, it's interesting. So. Now, I do believe that this story is going to be sort of if the Grey storyline is going to be sort of the A story over Christmas, I believe that this one might well be the B story. Because it feels like this might be jostling itself up to be all revealed. They keep mentioning turkey, Alex. They keep mentioning turkey that might be eaten over Christmas dinner. They keep mentioning it. I think I might go...
Have you seen the trailer?
No, I've seen that. Yes, I did. There is a turkey. There is a turkey.
Yes, there's a table in the centre of the table. I thought of you. Yeah, it's within reaching distance for a throw. I can think of you, Rob.
It's there. I tell you what, if it happens, nothing you say, nothing anybody says, will be able to stop me from thinking they did that for me. That's for me. I wrote that. That's for me. That's for me. I wrote the EastEnders Christmas episode. Nothing will take that away from me.
And they should credit you.
Nothing will take it away from me.
Give you a turkey storyline.
Yeah.
Innes.
Turkey consultant Rob Innes.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think you're entirely right. I think that I think this is going to be the Christmas background story.
Yes,
the wedding. Is going to come about then.
Because this letter's still around somewhere, isn't it? And I think that Sandy is the one that took it. I think Sandy knows a lot about this because she's manipulating Dotty left, right and centre just to try and get drugs out of her. Like I say, it's Nick all over. You can see why these two got together. Honestly, Dotty never had a hope, bless her, in the grand scheme of things, did she? With those two as parents, it's frankly amazing that she's got to the stage that she is. I liked the scenes with Rocky this week. I do like Rocky. I hope he sticks around after this. I really do, because I really, really like him. And, so because the thing is, we've had these moments where, he's maybe wanting to back away from Dotty a little bit and sort of like try and separate himself away from the plan, but he has also been jumping in with both feet when Dotty's been having these meetups with this drug dealer in the middle of the square, in front of everybody, but never mind. And like sort of leaping to Dotty's honour and saying, like, no, you don't speak to me like that. I'll deal with this. You run along. I'll deal with this. And giving the drug dealer abuse. Love that. So I don't know. What do you think is going to happen? The letter I think Sandy's got, and she's going to reveal it all at Christmas Day. I think normally we'd get I feel a hint or something that Sandy knew about it, but it's there, isn't it? It's there in the background. It did go missing, and they haven't really spoken about it since. But I think that's what's going to happen. Because apparently Sandy's there on Christmas Day as well, which should be jolly. Recovering snack addict.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
On the table of Christmas
Poor
Day.
Kathy, she's a glutton for punishment. I know. I mean, it's nice to have like a big Christmas story in the Bill house, though, so that's quite nice.
Yes,
the only thing that makes me think about Sandy not knowing is that Sandy's not done anything about it. I would have thought that she would have been a lot more proddy and kind of deliberately kind of winding Tom up more. Even winding Dotty up, maybe saying, I know something about you and Tom, and and I got proof, so you get me those drugs. And she hasn't done that. That's the only thing that kind of pulls me away from thinking she has the letter. But then if she doesn't have the letter, who, if anyone, does? If no one's got the letter, where is the letter? Is it like slipped behind something? And I don't know. It's interesting. But I agree with you. I think that there's going to be the Christmas Day reveal. And that, for me, is the more interesting reveal, strangely. Because I think that I like Tom, Kathy, Sonia. I like that setup a lot, and it was really solidified this week for me when they did the story where Tom was getting fit, so he was running around in that bright, it green or orange? Like orange. It felt like it was
like a traffic cone.
Silk. Yeah, and it looked like it was made of silk or something. You know what I mean? It was like something like a rapper from the 90s used to wear, and. And I like that dynamic, and he's allowed to have a bit of a drink on Christmas Day. He's been given permission by Sonia.
One sherry.
Yeah. Just like Dot. Also, Dot would only have one for medicinal purposes, and that's what Tom's doing. You see, but
maybe that's going to be the outfit that he wears every single Christmas, like Dot did. Yeah, every single Christmas, the orange traffic cone outfit's going to come out.
Oh, you saying that about Dot wearing the same dress? It makes me hope that there's a surprise entrance and Dot enters the show just for one episode.
Get it out your head.
I know it's not, but wouldn't you love that? Wouldn't you just?
I would love it if I would love it if they wheeled Dot out for an episode. I can see it doing
like Hannibal Lecter.
Stag.
Yeah. Oh, what a carry.
Oh, I say. So we'll see where this goes. It does feel like this is one of the ones that's sort of got its foot on the gas pedal, so to speak. So it's next week. One to watch.
So the final story then is the Grey story with Chelsea and Denise, and Grey setting up his own legal firm. Chelsea, who I thought encouraged him to set up his legal firm, this week didn't want him to do it anymore because she was very worried about the money aspect. But that kind of turned around, and she was happy about it in the end.
Yeah, I don't get where Chelsea's head is at it. Does she love Grey? Does she actually want to marry him, or is she just? You can see why I was sticking with this theory that she wasn't pregnant, can't you? Because I'm really sort of unclear as to what Chelsea's motives are. Because she was using phrases to Denise like going, "Oh well, ever since he started doing this thing, I can't get a thing that I want." Like a really stroppy sort of teenager, like Grey was her dad, and she was like, I only want new trainers. So I don't really get where Chelsea's at the moment. I don't know whether I think she's literally just doing it because she doesn't want to be a single mum, does she? Because she doesn't like the idea of being pushing prams around. She wants someone to dump the baby on so she can go out and party still. I'm sure that's what it's about.
But I think Grey's the same though, because Grey this week had that kind of chat with her, and he pretty much said that you can learn to love someone. Like in time, you can learn to love someone and have a relationship with someone, and so that's why I'm with you because I'm learning to love you. Yeah, so I think Grey and Chelsea are almost in the same boat, because Denise also, as you say, brought up this week that she said like, "What, you're only marrying him because you're having his kid." But then later on, at the end of the week, Chelsea then kind of did support Grey. Like she did phone in favours and phone the guy back that she belittled when she pretended to having a conversation with a friend on the phone about this What is it with Instagram stars, by the way, in Walford? Like, there's so many of them. Like, they're always like
London, isn't it?
Yeah, influencers. Yeah, it seems to be the word of the week on the show. But
London is full of them. London is full of influencers and Instagrammers and Twitters and Snapchat. I was trying to say there, and Twitter at the same time. Apologies.
Snap twits.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. But also, who else we saw this week was Laura, because Whitney.
Laura's back.
Whitney's been throwing a few kind of like snide remarks toward Gray, and this week Whitney and Laura got together and banged their heads together and started talking about Gray as well.
She's a dead woman walking as well, isn't she?
Isn't she just?
Oh, I don't want them to kill Laura off. I really like her. I was really excited to see Laura just literally just stride into Gray's house this week. You.
Without an invite, yeah.
Love her. She's great. So, I mean, basically Denise and Chelsea have arranged to share this wedding, which I'm presuming is on Christmas Day. Because when else would you have a big wedding?
Why not?
Have you ever been invited to a wedding on Christmas Day? Ever? Have you ever known anyone get married on Christmas Day? I haven't. If you've been to a wedding on Christmas Day, you've been married on Christmas Day, please let us know, because I don't feel I've never heard of it before, unless other than in Soapland. It doesn't like poor vicar. I don't want to marry you. I want to go home and eat my own turkey. Thanks very much. But yeah, apparently Denise and Chelsea and Gray and Jack are having this big old double wedding. Which, in theory, would be quite nice, except the fact that there is clearly some investigating on Whitney's part to be done, because Whitney apparently hates Gray now. Like, all those days where Whitney was blind to Gray's foibles and his aggressions, all gone. Whitney is now determined to bring Gray down. Protect Chelsea. She is now Gray's biggest concern, because she is the one that is now thoroughly investigating what is going on exactly with Gray. I'm still not quite sure how she's going to work out anything that he's done. It's not like there's some evidence that we know about that's sort of waiting to be found, really, is there? So I don't know quite how any of his murders are going to be discovered.
I guess she's just pushing for an admission, I guess. At some point there will be an admission from Gray and Whitney will hear it. I really don't know. I'm with you. I don't know how she is going to ultimately discover it. Maybe it'll be Kush related. Maybe they will eventually find that CCTV footage that we've been jokingly saying that doesn't exist in Walford. Maybe it will appear at some point, but there has to be something. There has to be something that incriminates Gray one way or another. I mean, Laura does say that she has the tweet from Gray, but he pretty much said to her, well, it was on an anonymous account, so there's no way you can really prove it.
And it doesn't really say, oh, by the way, I'm a murderer as well, so be scared there.
But then Laura's adamant that she knows. He's
a monster.
He's killed his wife. So where does she get, other than instinct? Where has she got this from? There has to be something that she's keeping up her sleeve. There has to be, and she's maybe trying to find an alliance with someone, and that's why we saw this conversation between her and Whitney this week, because maybe Laura and Whitney are then going to start kind of like talking it over together, and this alliance will then be grown together.
I quite like the idea of Whitney, Chelsea and Laura doing the whole thing. You remember when Dirty Den was murdered and the cauldron of Sam, and I'd love that. That would be great. Bring Laura in for that 100%. Love Laura. Keep her in. I want her to be up there with Richie and sort of take Richie versus Laura in court. I would love that. That'd be great. But yeah, this is presumably going to be the big old story next week. Predictions, Alex. What do you think is going to? Are we going to have another death next week? Is Gray going to murder one more person next week at some point? I mean, the suspects presumably for a Gray death at the moment would be either Whitney. I would say no, that's not going to happen. But frankly, this storyline has been nothing but unpredictable. So to say the least. So Whitney, Chelsea, Laura, who you suspect is probably going to die at some point because she's just getting a little bit too close to the truth, isn't she? And a little bit too up in Gray's face. So
yes. Like you, I would adore if they could, because I don't know if they've recorded Laura's death. I think it's likely Laura is the one going to be gone, which is a huge shame. But if they hadn't, I would love that if they've done like you say, a Dirty Den reveal type story with Laura, Whitney and Chelsea, and they're all plotting together to kind of like do this one big exit. I'm just trying to think though, who could they have in the shadow? Sharon was in the shadows when they confronted Dirty Den, and he basically and then Sharon came out, and that's the reason why Den then attacked Sam and Zoe.
You don't mean Sharon. You don't mean
Chrissy,
Sharon, do you?
because
Chrissy, you mean? Yeah.
No, Sharon was in the shadows. Sharon.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, she was. Sharon was in the shadows, and they got him.
Yeah,
they got him to admit something, and then Sharon came out, and then because then Den had lost Sharon then realised he had nothing to lose, and then that's when he started to attack Chrissy. And Zoe and Sam.
I remember that,
So I'd be interested to know if there's like something similar. If there's someone who'd be in the shadows, like who comes out, and then when Grey finally comes out, like Karen or something like that. But to go back to your original question, I think that showing the photograph of kind of Whitney whispering in Chelsea's ear, Chelsea must get wind of some information, And Laura just feels like she's on the chopping block, but I really hope not, because I think they've got a gem in Laura there, and I think it'd be a huge shame. But then I suppose in another way, it'd be great that they did get rid of a character that's really popular, who's been on the show very little, but somehow made such a good impact to the fans of the show.
So that was the week in Walford leading up to Christmas. Very exciting, big old Christmas duffs next week. Please let us know in the comment section what your predictions are for Christmas week. We will give you the details at the end of the show, right after we read you a comment in I Ain't Want to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't want to gossip.
So we are going to read out some of your comments that you sent to us on our Twitter, Instagram, our email, or on YouTube comments below, or our Facebook group. All the details will be at the end of the show. And we are starting with which one, Rob?
Well, I have a message from Edward Russell on our Facebook, who says, for me, the show is in a very strong place at the moment and clearly building to the culmination of a number of key storylines over Christmas, the Grey and Rocky ones, and I assume will be followed by the Aaron racism one, culminating in a tragedy. So Edward is loving the direction it's all going at the moment. So, I mean, to be fair, in terms of the stuff that's being built up to, I think we said, weirdly, after we've discussed it all, and we said, I don't really know what's going to happen over Christmas. It's quite obvious now what's going to happen over Christmas, isn't it? If you think about it. So don't go by our judgment. But
we could be surprised. You never know.
Well, we could be. I have to say, even though I obviously have hated this Grey storyline for the most part, the climaxes of stories are always fun. Although I feel like this isn't really going to be the climax. You know, I feel like this is going to be. I feel like this is going to be a big week within the storyline, and it's going to be one of the key components into the ultimate downfall of Grey, the eventual end. But I don't know. We'll see how much it goes. But I'm with you in terms of that. I'm really looking forward to the Rocky stuff next week. The Tom and Dotty reveals. So I think they're going to be fun. What you got?
With concerns with the Grey story, I just feel like it's gone too long. It feels like it's gone a year too long.
Of all the stories for them to drag out, of all the times that we have moaned and say, "Oh, that story was rushed." Oh no, well, how about we hang on to this one for years and let's see how you deal with that? You like a long burner? Have this, have that.
This is it. This is the one. I've got a comment from Matt Cherry on Twitter, and he's written, I don't think the writers are even giving them a chance because they rarely appear together. This is Jay and Honey that he's referencing, by the way. Hard to build up on chemistry if they are rarely sharing scenes. I think, again, we touched on that today. It's that we're not seeing them in a relationship, and you're right, it feels like it's not that we're not seeing enough of Honey necessarily, it's that we're not really seeing enough of Jay. That Jay's always given like a crumb, and then he's kind of given that story for the week, and then he's kind of pulled he's kind of pulled away again from doing another story.
Yeah,
and I wish they'd had more confidence to giving Jay more. I really do.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. We know that Jamie Bothrick's a great actor because you remember one of the most heartbreaking storylines they ever did was for me was when Jay was put on the sex offenders register and he had people like going after him and and everyone hated him because that's what had happened. And he gave a great performance in those storylines. And he gave a great performance. He's been great ever since he was a kid, with all the Jace stuff.
He's excellent.
And all the gang. He's a great actor. So if you're listening, Chris Clenshaw, that's what we'd like, please. Lots of J stuff for next year when you come along, please. There was one more comment that I saw. Now, this wasn't actually sent to us. It was on the official EastEnders Facebook page. And so I can't really say who sent it because I don't know, there's laws against all that sort of thing or something. But this did make me laugh a lot. This was this was about the Tiff and Keegan relationship. Now the thing is, I don't think this was supposed to make me laugh as much as it did, but it really, really did. Someone on their Facebook after the Tiff's exit, I hate that they ruined Tiff and Keegan's relationship. They were such a great couple. No reason to buy a TV license anymore.
On the strength of that, you're cancelling your TV license, I see. Hello. I just thought I'd interrupt Rob before he gives us the details of how you can get in touch with us on our social media to let you know that our full schedule will be on our Twitter, Instagram and Facebook group for this Christmas and New Year, including when we'll be releasing our podcasts and, for the first time ever, our character tier lists, which are being produced by both Rob, Ben and myself, which is not both, that's 3 people, so I've made a mistake there, but I'm going to keep it in because it's taken me so long to get this far. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook group so you can find out more.
You can contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe to get Alex's body out, and click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos. And you can listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. You can email us at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or at alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. So until we see you next time, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from myself.
Ho, ho, ho. Bye!